currently the editor-in-chief of the online poetry magazine, Punctum. We got paired together, well, as we all did, not knowing each other, and I read Artis' chaplet, Gestures, which is published by Ugly Duckling Press in English translation. And there was one poem in particular that struck me as like an invitation to play, perhaps. One of the poems, Hansa Street, ends with a line, "What shards does this perfect sphere hold within itself?" And so we talked a little bit, and then we decided to play some Olympian games of just replacing the nouns in each, and writing new versions, replacing the nouns to find the different shards and the different versions we could. And I just wanted to read you what it says on the back of the book, which maybe explains a little bit.
It's a fragment from one of the poems.
Yeah. Do you want to read?
No, go.
Read it. A gaze, as it is known, is the simplest of gestures, surfacing from the depths of silence, from a word, which sprouts inside itself like a solitary plant. It strives to illuminate its origin, which it abandoned, as a lamp might abandon a ceiling vault as it's dimming. So Artis will read the original poem in Latvian and then the translation, and then we just bounce back and forth a few different versions.
Hanzas iela. Stāvēt naktī uz balkona, pa kreisi starp skursteņiem bēguļo mēnesi, pa labi kāds pāris nozūd Aleksandra vārtos, un vientuļas āršķības dēļ grozīt pirkstos karafes korķi, no dzidra bohēmijas stikla, stāvēt kā muižniekam rīta svārkos ainavas priekšā, un pat nenojaust, ka šis brīdis, it kā vienīgi tavs, pieder pavisam citai dzīvei, kas negaidīti, kā brāzmā ierauta lente, tievijusies, lai jau pēc mirkļa atgrieztos tumsā, kādas šķembas sevī glabā šī pilnīgā forma. So this is the official English, the proper translation that we messed up today. Hansa Street. Standing on the balcony at night, to the left the moon ducks between the chimneys, to the right a couple disappears through Alexander's gate, and out of lonely pretense you roll the cork of a carafe made of clear Bohemian glass between your fingers, standing like a landowner in his dressing gown, with a landscape before him, and not realizing that this moment, seemingly yours alone, belongs to an entirely different life, which unexpectedly has curled like a ribbon picked up by a gust of wind, so that a moment later it can return to the darkness. What shards does this perfect sphere hold within itself?
Hansa Street. Standing on a ball at night. To the left, a moonbeam ducks between the chimps. To the right, a couplet disappears through Alexander's gate. And out of lonely pretext, you roll the corner of a caramel, made of clear Bohemian glaze, between your fingertips. Standing like a landslide in a dressing gown, with a language before him, and not realizing that this monarch, seemingly yours alone, belongs to an entirely different lifeboat, which unexpectedly has curled like a riddle picked up by a gutter of windfall, so that, a monarch later, it can return to the dawn. What shavings does this performance spiral hold within itself?
Standing on a balloon at night, to the left a mop ducks between the chinchillas, to the right a court disappears through Alexander's gate, and out of lonely preview you roll the cornflower of a carbon made of clear bohemian glide between your fires, standing like a lantern in a dressing gown with a Laotian before him, and not realizing that this money, seemingly yours alone, belongs to an entirely different lifeline, which unexpectedly has curled like a rifle picked up by a guy of windmill, so that a money later it can return to the day center. What sheds this periodic spite hold within itself?
Standing on a banana at night, to the left, morality ducks between the chipmunks. To the right, a courtyard disappears through Alexander's gate, and out of lonely primacy, you roll the corpse of a cardigan made of clear bohemian gloaming between your firecrackers. Standing like a lapwing in a dressing gown with a laptop before him, and not realizing that this monkey, seemingly yours alone, belongs to an entirely different ligament, which unexpectedly has curled like a rigger picked up by a gyroscope of wing, so that a monkey later it can return to a dead end. What shells does this periwinkle splinter hold within itself?
Standing on a bandit at night, to the left a morgue ducks between the chisels. Chisels, sorry. To the right, a covenant disappears through Alexander's gate, and out of lonely prime time, you roll the correspondence of a cardiology made of clear bohemian gloom between your fireflies, standing like a lark in a dressing gown with a large intestine before him, and not realizing that this monogamy, seemingly yours alone, belongs to an entirely different lighthouse, which unexpectedly has curved like a ring picked up by a habitat of wingspan, so that a monogamy later it can return to the deadly sin. What shelvings does this peroxide spludge hold within itself?
Standing on a banjo at night, to the left a mortician ducks between the chalk ices. To the right, a cow disappears through Alexander's gate, and out of lonely principle you roll the corset of a carnage, made of clear bohemian glowworm between your fireworks. Standing like a lassie in a dressing gown with a lasso before him, and not realizing that this monotony, seemingly yours alone, belongs to an entirely different likeness, which unexpectedly has curled like a riot picked up by a hemorrhage of winter, so that a monotony later it can return to the deal. What Shetland ponies does this persona hold within itself?
Standing on a banknote at night, to the left a mosquito ducks between the coleras. To the right, a co-worker disappears through Alexander's gate, and out of lonely priority, you roll the kosh of a carol made of clear bohemian glutamic acid between your first cousins, standing like a last word in a dressing gown with the last straw before him, and not realizing that this monstrosity, seemingly yours alone, belongs to an entirely different limb, which unexpectedly has curled like a ripple picked up by a ha-ha of viper, so that a monstrosity later it can return to the death. What shillings does this personal pronoun hold within itself? Thank you.